The stars outside Luna Base looked peaceful that morning, but Admiral Jack Morrison knew that was about to change. He sat in his office, drinking his third cup of coffee, when the priority message arrived. The red light on his desk blinked 3 times, which meant only one thing. The aliens were calling. Morrison opened the transmission and saw the familiar face of Ambassador Jar, the Galactic Empire Senate's representative to Earth. The alien's 4 eyes blinked slowly, and his translator device made his words sound cold and mechanical. Admiral Morrison, the Senate has reached a decision regarding humanity's place in the galaxy, Jar said. You have proven to be too aggressive and dangerous. Your species threatens the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. Morrison kept his face blank, but inside he felt his heart racing. He had known this day would come. The Empire had been watching Earth for decades, ever since humans first left their solar system and started building colonies on distant worlds. The Senate hereby demands that humanity surrender all military vessels, weapons systems, and defensive installations within 30 standard galactic days. Jar continued. You will disarm completely and place yourselves under Empire protection. This is not a request. This is an order. The transmission ended, leaving Morrison staring at the blank screen. He picked up his secure phone and called Dr. Lisa Carter, Earth's top expert on alien cultures. She arrived at his office within minutes, her face pale with worry. They actually did it, she said, sitting down across from his desk. I hoped they would leave us alone for a few more years. What do you know about the other species that got this same demand? Morrison asked. Lisa pulled out her tablet and showed him the files. 3 species in the last century. The Corvan Empire, the Stellar Federation, and the Helix Coalition. All of them were told to disarm. All of them obeyed. And now they are all client states of the Empire. They have no military, no independence, and no say in galactic affairs. The Empire controls their trade, their colonies, and their future. Morrison stood up and walked to the window. Earth looked beautiful from Luna Base, blue and green and full of life. He thought about the billions of people down there who had no idea their freedom was under threat. Get me Commander Paul Jackson, he said, and call President Helen Brooks. Tell her we need an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Council. Lisa nodded. What are you thinking, Jack? I'm thinking the Senate made a big mistake, Morrison said. They think we're just another species that will roll over and play dead. They don't know us very well. An hour later, Commander Jackson arrived. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who ran Earth's intelligence operations. He had been tracking alien movements for years and knew more about the Empire than almost anyone. The Senate thinks we're primitive, Jackson said, settling into a chair. Their intelligence reports describe us as violent but backward. They see our chemical rockets and think that's the best we can do. Morrison smiled for the first time that day. And what does our intelligence say about them? They haven't changed their technology in thousands of years. Same energy shields, same particle weapons, same slow ships. They're powerful because they're old and big, not because they're smart. Dr. Carter looked between the 2 men. Are you saying we're going to fight them? The Empire has millions of ships and controls half the galaxy. I'm saying we have options they don't know about, Morrison replied. The Senate is about to learn something important about humanity. We don't give up easily. The alarm on Morrison's desk chimed. It was time for the emergency meeting with President Brooks and the Earth Defense Council. The next 30 days would determine whether humanity remained free or became just another servant species in the Empire's collection. Morrison straightened his uniform and headed for the door. The aliens wanted to disarm humanity, but they were about to discover that Earth had been preparing for this moment longer than they knew. The Senate thought they were dealing with primitives. They were very, very wrong. 3 million light-years away on the crystal moon of Sirian Prime, the Galactic Empire Senate was in session. The Great Dome housed representatives from 12 ancient species, each older and supposedly wiser than humanity. Senator Vexthul of the Zephyrian Collective stood at the center podium, his blue skin gleaming under the artificial lights. The human problem must be solved quickly, Vexthul announced to the assembly. They expand too fast and fight too much. In just 200 years, they have spread to 47 star systems. No other species has done this so rapidly. Senator Kareth of the Crystal Dominion nodded her massive head. Her species had ruled the galaxy for over 5,000 years, and she had seen many young races rise and fall. Humans are violent by nature. They wage war on their own kind, and now threaten us. We cannot allow this to continue. But are they truly a threat? Asked Senator Morlk of the Gas Giant Federation. His tentacles swayed as he spoke through his breathing apparatus. Their technology is primitive. Chemical rockets, metal ships, simple energy weapons. We had better technology when we were still crawling out of our birth pools. The Senate chamber filled with what sounded like laughter, though each species made different sounds. The Zephyrians clicked their mandibles, the crystal beings hummed in deep tones, and the Gas Federation delegates released small puffs of colored gas. Exactly, Vexthul said. They use crude chemical propulsion when we mastered faster-than-light travel millennia ago. Their ships are made of steel and titanium, while ours use crystallized energy matrices. They still rely on kinetic weapons and basic lasers. Senator Kareth accessed her memory banks, a gift of her long-lived species. I remember when the Corvan Empire resisted us, 300 years ago. They had plasma cannons and quantum shields, far more advanced than these humans, yet they surrendered when we showed them our true power. The Stellar Federation lasted only 6 months, added another senator. The Helix Coalition even less. These humans will do the same. On the other side of the chamber, Senator Yithera of the Voidwalkers remained silent. Her species was mysterious and rarely spoke, but when they did, others listened. She had been observing Earth longer than the others knew. The humans have something the others did not, she finally said, her voice like whispers in space. What could that be? Vexthul asked, annoyed at the interruption. Deception, Yithera replied, then said nothing more. The Senate ignored her warning. They were too confident in their superiority to consider that a young species might outsmart them. Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, the alien surveillance net had been active for decades. Hidden probes watched human military exercises, recorded their technology, and sent reports back to the Empire. What they saw matched their expectations perfectly. Slow ships using chemical rockets, primitive weapons that fired solid projectiles, military bases that seemed barely able to defend their own planets. The probes never detected the quantum communication networks that Earth had been building. They never noticed that human mining ships in the asteroid belt carried unusual power signatures. They never realized that what they thought were civilian research stations were actually weapons testing facilities. The Empire's intelligence was based on what they wanted to see, not what was really there. They expected humans to be primitive, so they interpreted everything through that lens. When human ships moved slowly, they assumed it was because the ships were slow. When Earth's military bases seemed weak, they believed they were weak. Back in the Senate chamber, Vexthul called for a vote. All in favor of giving the humans 30 days to surrender their weapons. Every senator except Yithera raised their hands, tentacles, or crystalline formations. The vote was nearly unanimous. The message has been sent, Vexthul announced. Soon, we will have another peaceful member in our empire. The humans will learn that resistance is futile, just as the others did. As the session ended, Senator Yithera floated toward the exit. Her species had survived by being careful and watching for threats others missed. She had seen something in human behavior that worried her, but the other senators were too arrogant to listen. The Empire was about to discover that confidence could be a weakness, and that the loudest threats sometimes came from the quietest enemies. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially did not exist, Dr. Richard Davis stood before a wall of quantum computers. The Earth Defense Council had assembled in the most secure room on the planet, 3 miles underground and shielded from every form of scanning known to science. Admiral Morrison looked around the table at the most powerful people on Earth. General Steve Williams commanded the Space Marines. Admiral Susan Clark led the Space Navy. And Dr. Davis, the quiet man with thick glasses, controlled humanity's greatest secret. "Gentlemen, lady," Dr. Davis said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "For 50 years, we have been preparing for this day. Operation Prometheus has given us capabilities the Empire cannot imagine." President Helen Brooks leaned forward. "Show us what we really have, Richard." Dr. Davis touched his tablet, and the room's holographic display came to life. Three-dimensional images of ships, weapons, and technology filled the air above the table. These were not the crude vessels the aliens had observed. "First, our ships," Dr. Davis said. The display showed sleek vessels that looked nothing like the chemical-powered rockets the Empire had been watching. Every human ship has two propulsion systems, the chemical rockets the aliens see, and quantum drives they do not. We can reach 90% of light speed in minutes. General Williams whistled softly. "How did we hide this from their scanners?" "Quantum shielding," Dr. Davis replied. "The drives only activate when we open quantum tunnels around them. To alien sensors, our ships disappear and reappear. They think we use crude jump drives like they do." Admiral Clark studied the ship designs. "What about weapons?" "That is where things get interesting." The display changed to show massive cannons that seemed to bend space around them, compressed matter weapons that fire miniature black holes, temporal distortion beams that slow time around targets, and my personal favorite, molecular disassembly rays. Dr. Davis smiled, which was rare for him. "But our greatest advantage is artificial intelligence. We created thinking machines 50 years ago. The Empire banned AI development 3,000 years ago after a machine uprising. They fear it, which means they never develop defenses against it." The display showed Captain Maria Rodriguez standing next to what looked like a simple asteroid mining ship. "Captain Rodriguez commands our mobile weapons platform disguised as the mining vessel New Frontier. The aliens count it as a civilian ship. In reality, it carries enough firepower to destroy a battlecruiser." "How many of these hidden weapons do we have?" President Brooks asked. "Every mining ship, research station, and cargo vessel built in the last 30 years has been equipped with military-grade systems," Dr. Davis said. "The Empire thinks we have 200 warships. We actually have over 3,000 combat vessels." Dr. Alan White, the project's lead physicist, stood up. "We need to explain the temporal technology. This will confuse their tactical computers completely." "Time manipulation?" Morrison asked. "You actually built time machines?" "Not exactly," Dr. White replied. "We cannot travel through time, but we can speed it up or slow it down in small areas. Our ships can create time bubbles where everything moves twice as fast or half as slow. Imagine fighting an enemy that suddenly moves at double speed while your weapons crawl toward them." General Williams grinned. "The alien shields work by deflecting energy. What happens when we fire weapons that bypass shields completely?" "They have no defense," Dr. Davis said simply. "Their energy barriers cannot stop compressed matter or molecular disassembly beams. Their ships will simply come apart." Admiral Clark looked at the holographic fleet surrounding them. "The Empire thinks they are dealing with primitives using chemical rockets and metal bullets. Instead, they face quantum-powered ships with reality-bending weapons and AI coordination." "There is more," Dr. Davis said. He showed them images of their hidden bases throughout the solar system. Mining operations on Europa, research stations on Titan, and terraforming projects on Mars. All of them are actually military installations with planetary defense systems. President Brooks stood up, her face serious but determined. "So when they come for us, thinking we are defenseless primitives, what will they find?" Dr. Davis removed his glasses and cleaned them slowly. "They will find that humanity has been preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. They will discover that our greatest weapons are invisible to their sensors. And most importantly, they will learn that humans are very good at lying. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the truth. Earth was not the primitive world the Empire believed it to be. They had spent 50 years building the most advanced military in galactic history, all while appearing weak and backward. The Empire wanted to disarm humanity, but they had no idea what they were trying to disarm. That ignorance would soon become their greatest weakness. Senator Vexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship Eternal Glory, watching the blue-green planet called Earth grow larger on the main screen. Behind him stretched the pride of the Galactic Empire fleet. 500 warships, each one a kilometer long and armed with the finest weapons the Empire had built over 3,000 years. The humans should have surrendered by now, Vexthal said to his second-in-command, Captain Corvin. 30 days have passed, and they send no reply. Captain Corvin checked his instruments. Sir, we are detecting movement around their outer colonies. Ships leaving the system, taking civilians away. They appear to be evacuating. Good, Vexthal nodded. They understand they cannot fight us. Soon, they will surrender their military and accept our protection. On Earth's Luna base, Commander Nick Brown watched the alien fleet through the most advanced sensors humanity had ever built. The ships moved in perfect formation, their energy shields glowing like small suns. These were the vessels that had conquered dozens of star systems and forced entire civilizations to kneel. 500 ships, Brown reported to Admiral Morrison. Standard Empire formation. They are broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding to speak with our leaders. Morrison stood at the command center, calm and ready. Around him, officers monitored screens showing not just the approaching fleet, but the hidden defenses spread throughout the solar system. The aliens could see Earth's orbital platforms, but they looked old and weak. The Empire's sensors showed exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Any word from our outer colonies? Morrison asked. The evacuation is complete, Brown replied. All civilian populations have been moved to safe zones. Our hidden military bases remain operational. Dr. Lisa Carter joined them at the command station. Our xenobiology team has been studying their ship designs from the sensor data. They use the same technology they have used for millennia. Energy shields, particle beam weapons, plasma cannons. Nothing has changed. Why change perfection? Morrison said with a slight smile. That is what the Empire believes. They think their old ways are the best ways. On the flagship, Vexthal grew impatient. Open a channel to Earth, he ordered. Let us end this farce. The communication screen lit up, showing Admiral Morrison in his Earth defense uniform. Vexthal had expected to see fear in the human's eyes, but Morrison looked calm, almost bored. I am Senator Vexthal of the Galactic Empire, the alien announced. You have failed to respond to our generous offer of protection. Surrender your weapons now, and no harm will come to your people. Morrison looked directly at the alien. Senator, we received your message. Earth's government has discussed your demands carefully. And we decline. The bridge of the Eternal Glory fell silent. Captain Corvin checked his translation equipment, thinking he had heard wrong. Vexthal's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. You decline. Vexthal repeated. Do you understand who you are speaking to? We have conquered worlds older than your entire civilization. We have weapons that can crack planets in half. I understand perfectly, Morrison replied. We choose to remain free. Back on Luna base, Commander Brown smiled as he watched the alien fleet's reaction. Their ships had stopped moving, as if the crews could not believe what they had heard. Sir, Brown said quietly, the aliens are powering up their weapons. All ships are raising shields and targeting our orbital platforms. Morrison nodded. Let them. They see old, weak platforms that cannot threaten them. They have no idea what those platforms really are. Dr. Carter looked worried. Jack, are you sure about this? Once we show them what we can do, there is no going back. There was never any going back, Morrison replied. The Empire does not allow independence. They only understand strength. On the Eternal Glory, Vexthul stared at the communication screen where Morrison still waited calmly. Very well, human. You have chosen destruction over wisdom. Prepare to learn why the Empire has ruled for 3,000 years. Morrison almost looked sad. Senator, you are about to learn something about humanity. We are not like the other species you have conquered. We do not surrender, and we do not kneel. The transmission ended, leaving Vexthul staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. Begin the attack, Vexthul commanded. Target their orbital platforms first. Show them the power of the Empire. What the senator did not know was that he had just triggered the greatest surprise in galactic military history. Earth's response would change everything the Empire believed about warfare, technology, and the supposedly primitive species called humanity. The first shots came from the Eternal Glory itself. Bright blue beams of concentrated energy lanced out toward Earth's orbital platforms. Vexthul watched with satisfaction as the particle cannons fired, expecting to see the primitive human defenses crumble like paper. Instead, something impossible happened. The orbital platforms, which had looked old and rusty through Empire sensors, suddenly shimmered and changed. Space itself seemed to bend around them as they revealed their true nature. These were not the ancient missile platforms the Empire had expected. They were something far beyond anything in galactic history. Quantum displacement cannons charging, announced Admiral Morrison calmly from Luna Base. Target the flagship first. The platforms fired, but their weapons did not shoot beams of light or energy. Instead, they tore holes in space itself. Localized black holes, no bigger than marbles, appeared directly inside the Empire ships. The Eternal Glory shields, designed to stop energy weapons, could not stop gravity itself. Vexthul felt his ship shudder as micro-black holes materialized inside the hull. The gravity wells lasted only seconds before collapsing, but that was enough. They pulled sections of the ship apart from the inside out. Shields are useless, Captain Corvin shouted over the alarms. How are they getting past our defenses? Impossible, Vexthul muttered, watching 50 of his ships torn apart in the first volley. Our intelligence said they had primitive weapons, chemical explosives and metal projectiles. From the asteroid belt, more surprises emerged. What the Empire had cataloged as simple mining ships suddenly revealed their true purpose. The New Frontier, commanded by Captain John Baker, dropped its disguise as its quantum drives came online. The bulky mining vessel transformed into a sleek predator, moving faster than any ship in the Empire fleet. This is Baker to all hidden units, the captain announced over quantum communications the aliens could not detect. Execute surprise party protocol. Time to show these ancients how humans really fight. Throughout the solar system, dozens of disguised ships powered up weapons the Empire had never seen. Temporal distortion generators created time bubbles around groups of enemy vessels, slowing them down until their movements became painfully slow. Molecular disassembly beams touched Empire ships and simply made them cease to exist, breaking their hulls down atom by atom. Admiral Susan Clark emerged from her hiding place behind Jupiter's moon Europa. Her ship, the U.S. Independence, had been disguised as a research station for decades. Now it revealed weapons that bent the laws of physics. Temporal warfare systems online, Clark reported, creating localized time acceleration around our fleet. Suddenly, human ships appeared to teleport across the battlefield. They were not actually teleporting, but moving so fast within their time bubbles that Empire sensors could not track them. To Vexthul's fleet, it looked like magic. Sir, we have lost over 100 ships, Corvan reported, his voice shaking. The humans are not using any technology we recognize. Vexthul stared at the tactical display in growing horror. His mighty fleet was being dismantled by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. The humans were not using energy weapons or missiles. They were using forces that bypassed every defense the Empire had built. Send a transmission, Vexthul ordered desperately. Tell all ships to retreat to safe distance and reassess. But it was too late for retreat. Captain Baker's strike force had surrounded the alien fleet using quantum drives that allowed impossible maneuvers. Ships that should take hours to change direction spun around instantly, defying physics as the Empire understood it. Dr. Alan White's temporal technology proved devastating. Empire ships found themselves trapped in slow time fields, unable to escape or fight back effectively. Their weapons crawled through space while human ships danced around them at normal speed. Fleet Command, "This is impossible," came frantic messages from dozens of Empire captains. "The humans are everywhere at once. Our shields cannot stop their weapons." Admiral Morrison watched the battle unfold from Luna Base, feeling no joy in the destruction but knowing it was necessary. For too long, the Empire had bullied younger species into submission. Today, they would learn that some species fight back. "Admiral Clark, begin Phase 2 of the operation," Morrison ordered. Phase 2. Captain Baker asked over the communication channel. "Sir, we have already won." Morrison smiled grimly. "Not yet, John. We need to make sure they never underestimate humanity again. Time to show them what humans do to bullies." The battle was just beginning, and the Empire's worst nightmare was about to become reality. They had awakened a sleeping giant that had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Senator Vexthal grabbed his communication console as his flagship shook again. More micro-black holes had appeared inside his ship, pulling apart entire sections in seconds. Around him, the bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to understand how their perfect formation had turned into a disaster. "All ships, emergency frequency." Vexthal broadcast to his fleet. "We need reinforcements immediately. Send word to the Senate. The humans have weapons we have never seen before." His message was cut short as another shockwave rocked the Eternal Glory. Through the ship's hull came something that horrified every alien aboard. Tiny silver clouds, like metallic dust, seeped through the walls as if they were not even there. Major Sarah Johnson smiled from her position aboard the human stealth ship Wraith. She had been waiting 40 years to use these weapons. The nanoswarms were her creation, millions of microscopic robots that could work together like a living thing. "Nanoswarms deployed against the flagship," Johnson reported to Admiral Morrison, "beginning molecular disassembly of target vessel." The silver clouds spread throughout the Eternal Glory, and wherever they went, the ship simply ceased to exist. Walls dissolved into their basic atoms. Control panels turned to dust. The nanorobots worked faster than any weapon the Empire had ever faced, taking apart the ship piece by piece. Vexthal watched in terror as his bridge began to disappear around him. "What is this? Some kind of acid weapon?" "Sir, our science officer says it appears to be some form of programmable matter," Captain Corvin replied, his voice breaking. "The humans are using technology our scientists said was impossible." Dr. Alan White activated the next phase of Earth's response from his secret lab on Mars. The temporal warfare protocol engaged across the battlefield, creating zones where time moved at different speeds. Empire ships found themselves trapped in slow time fields, their movements reduced to a crawl. One moment, an alien destroyer was firing its plasma cannons at a human vessel. The next moment, it was frozen in space, its weapons charging so slowly that the energy crawled forward like thick honey. Meanwhile, the human ship zipped around it at normal speed, placing explosives on its hull with casual precision. "Time distortion fields holding steady," Dr. White reported. "Enemy fleet is operating at 20% normal speed in affected zones." Captain John Baker, commanding the disguised mining ship New Frontier, laughed as he watched Empire vessels struggle against forces they could not understand. His ship's quantum drive allowed it to appear in multiple places almost simultaneously, confusing enemy targeting systems. "This is too easy," Baker told his crew. "Their weapons are designed to fight ships, not to fight space itself." The Empire fleet tried to adapt, but how do you fight an enemy that controls time and gravity? Their energy shields, perfected over thousands of years, were useless against weapons that bypassed conventional physics entirely. On the Eternal Glory, Senator Vexthal realized his mistake too late. The humans had not built better ships or bigger weapons. They had rewritten the rules of warfare itself. Every assumption the Empire had made about combat was wrong. Fleet status report, Vexthal demanded. We have lost 200 ships in 15 minutes, Corvan replied. Our remaining vessels are trapped in temporal fields or being destroyed by those mechanical swarms. Sir, we need to retreat. The Senate will never forgive us if we retreat from primitives, Vexthal said. Sir, with respect, these are not primitives. Senator Kareth, watching from her command ship Crystal Dominion, tried to understand what she was seeing. Her species had lived for millions of years and had seen every type of warfare imaginable. But this was something entirely new. How did they hide this from us? She wondered aloud. Our spies watched them for decades. We saw their technology, studied their ships. Her science advisor, a being that looked like living crystal, provided the answer that chilled her to the core. Senator, I believe they wanted us to see primitive technology. Everything we observed was deliberate misdirection. You mean they have been planning this for decades? I mean they have been preparing for war while pretending to be peaceful. We fell for the oldest trick in warfare. We saw what we expected to see and ignored what was really there. Admiral Morrison watched the battle from Luna Base, feeling no satisfaction in the Empire's suffering. Each destroyed ship meant thousands of alien lives lost. But the Empire had forced this choice by demanding humanity's surrender. Begin Phase 3, Morrison ordered quietly. It is time to show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Admiral Morrison stood before the quantum communication array on Luna Base, his finger hovering over the activation switch. Around the galaxy, hidden human forces waited for his signal. For 50 years, Earth had been preparing not just to defend their own system, but to strike back at the Empire itself. Phase 3 begins now, Morrison announced. Across 12 different star systems, human fleets emerged from hiding. Each strike force had been positioned near major Empire military bases months ago, disguised as trade ships, research vessels, and refugee convoys. The Empire's own arrogance had allowed them to get close without suspicion. Admiral Susan Clark commanded the attack on Xerion Prime, the Empire's capital system. Her fleet of 30 ships had been hiding in the asteroid field for 6 months, appearing to be simple mining operations. Now they revealed their true nature as mankind's most advanced warships. Operation Payback is go, Clark announced to her captains. Remember, we target military installations only. No civilian casualties. The Empire's main fleet base orbited Xerion Prime like a small moon. It held over 1,000 ships and was protected by energy shields that could stop an entire fleet. The base had never been attacked in 3,000 years of Empire rule. Clark's ships moved with precision that shocked the alien defenders. Using quantum drives, they appeared to teleport around the massive station, placing charges at key structural points. The Empire's defense fleet scrambled to respond, but their ships moved like children compared to humanity's vessels. General Steve Williams led the ground assault team that would change galactic history forever. Using transport technology the Empire had never seen, his soldiers appeared directly inside enemy ships and bases. The aliens had no defense against troops that could walk through walls using portable quantum tunnels. Team 1 to command, Williams reported. We have captured the Empire's main communication center on Vega Station. Their entire command network is now under our control. In the Zeta Reticuli system, Colonel Mike Turner executed the most daring part of the operation. His Special Forces team had infiltrated Senator Vexthal's personal fortress, a space station that was supposed to be impregnable. Using cloaking technology far beyond anything the Empire possessed, they moved like ghosts through the alien facility. Target acquired. Turner whispered into his communicator. We have visual on Senator Vexthal's personal quarters. Senator Vexthal had returned to his fortress to coordinate the Empire's response to the human uprising. He sat in his private chamber, surrounded by guards, believing himself safe behind the most advanced defenses in the galaxy. He was wrong. Turner's team appeared in the center of the room as if materializing from thin air. The alien guards raised their weapons, but found themselves unable to move. Human sonic weapons had temporarily paralyzed their nervous systems. "Senator Vexthul," Turner said calmly, removing his helmet. "You are now a prisoner of the Earth Defense Forces." The senator's 4 eyes went wide with terror and disbelief. "How did you get here?" "This station has shields that stop even light from passing through." "Your shields stop energy weapons and ships," Turner replied. "They do not stop quantum transport. We have been inside your fortress for 3 weeks, learning your routines and studying your defenses." Throughout the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human forces captured Empire leaders who had thought themselves untouchable. The species that ruled the galaxy for millennia found themselves outmaneuvered by the supposedly primitive humans. Back in Earth's solar system, the remains of the Empire's fleet tried desperately to regroup, but their communication systems had been compromised. Human AI had infiltrated their networks, turning their own technology against them. Empire ships received false orders, sending them into traps or causing them to fire on each other. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical displays showing human victories across 12 star systems. The Empire's military might, built over thousands of years, was crumbling in hours. Their greatest weakness had been their belief in their own superiority. "Sir," Commander Nick Brown reported, "we are receiving surrender requests from over 50 Empire facilities. Their defense networks are collapsing galaxy-wide." Morrison nodded gravely. "Tell them we will accept surrenders, but only from military commanders. Any Empire ship that continues to fight will be destroyed." Senator Kareth, trapped aboard her disabled flagship, sent a desperate message to the remaining Senate members. "Emergency session required immediately. The humans have capabilities beyond our understanding. They have turned the tables completely." The Crystal Dominion and 10 other Empire species had never experienced defeat. For 3,000 years, they had been the predators in a galaxy full of prey. Now they found themselves being hunted by a species they had dismissed as weak and primitive. The Empire's greatest mistake had been believing their own propaganda about human inferiority. They had never imagined that humanity's peaceful facade hid the most advanced military technology in galactic history. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Empire Senate met in emergency session for the first time in 1,000 years. The Great Dome on Sirian Prime, once a symbol of unbreakable power, now seemed small and fragile. Only 6 of the 12 senators remained free, the others captured or cut off by human forces. Senator Kareth sat at the circular table, her crystalline form dim with defeat. Around her, the surviving members of the Empire's ruling council stared at reports they could barely believe. In less than 24 hours, humanity had crippled military forces that had taken millennia to build. How? Senator Morrill cast, his voice a whisper through his breathing apparatus. How did they deceive us so completely? Councillor Jar, the Empire's diplomatic representative who had delivered the ultimatum to Earth, stood at the center of the chamber. His hand shook as he read from his tablet. "Our intelligence network has completely failed. Every report about human technology was wrong. They have quantum drives, artificial intelligence, weapons that manipulate time and space. Senator Yathera warned us," Kareth said quietly. "She said the humans were deceptive. We did not listen." The chamber fell silent. Yathera had been captured in the first wave of human attacks, her presence in the discussion reduced to an empty chair that reminded everyone of their arrogance. President Helen Brooks appeared on the communication screen, flanked by Admiral Morrison and Dr. Lisa Carter. The 3 humans looked calm, professional, and completely in control. Behind them stood Colonel Mike Turner, who had personally captured Senator Vexthul. "Honorable members of the Galactic Empire Senate," President Brooks began, her voice carrying across light years to reach the alien leaders. "You demanded that humanity surrender our weapons. Instead, we have demonstrated what those weapons can do. Senator Kareth leaned forward, her ancient mind struggling to process the reality of their situation. President Brooks, your species has committed acts of war against the Empire. Do you understand the consequences? Brooks smiled sadly. Senator, with respect, you attacked us first. You sent a fleet to force our surrender. We simply defended ourselves more effectively than you expected. We never meant to destroy your people, Admiral Morrison added. Every human action was designed to disable your forces, not slaughter them. We could have wiped out your fleets completely. Dr. Carter stepped forward. We studied your history, learned from the species you conquered, the Corvan Empire, the Stellar Federation, the Helix Coalition. All of them tried to fight with weapons you understood. We chose a different path. Counselor Gere found his voice, though it trembled. What do you want from us? Recognition, President Brooks said simply. Acknowledgement that humanity has the right to exist as a free and independent species. We want the kind of peace that comes from mutual respect, not the peace of conquered subjects. The Senate chamber erupted in alien discussions. Some senators argued for continued resistance, others for immediate surrender. But the tactical displays around them told the truth. Human forces controlled key Empire installations. Their fleets were scattered or destroyed, and their greatest military leaders were prisoners. Senator Kareth called for silence. The Senate formally withdraws our ultimatum to humanity, she announced. We request a treaty of peace and recognition of your sovereignty. President Brooks nodded. We accept, but there will be conditions. The Empire will release all conquered species and allow them to choose their own governments. No more forced disarmament of developing civilizations. And most importantly, no retaliation against the species who tried to resist you in the past. Admiral Morrison stepped forward. We know this is difficult for you to accept. You have ruled for 3,000 years without challenge. But times change, and so must the Empire. How did you hide this from us for so long? Kareth asked, genuinely curious despite her defeat. Dr. Carter smiled. We learned something important early in our development. Sometimes the best defense is to appear weak while preparing for strength. You saw what you expected to see because we showed you exactly what you wanted to believe. President Brooks prepared to end the transmission. We hope this can be the beginning of a new era in galactic relations, one based on equality rather than domination. The screen went dark, leaving the Senate in stunned silence. For the first time in their history, they had been not just defeated, but outsmarted completely. Senator Kareth looked around the nearly empty chamber. The age of the Empire is over, she said quietly. Humanity has changed everything. Outside the dome, human ships maintained their blockade, a quiet reminder that the galaxy now had a new power to consider. Earth had not just survived the Empire's ultimatum. They had rewritten the rules of galactic civilization itself. The Senate, for perhaps the first time in their history, was truly speechless.